Power isn't given, it is taken. While most philosophers spend centuries debating how the world should be, one man focuses on how it actually works: Niccolò Machiavelli. He strips away moral pretense to reveal the raw mechanics of human control. His insights prove so disturbing that his name becomes synonymous with evil cunning. Yet today, his techniques silently shape politics, business, and even personal relationships. What Machiavelli discovers isn't just how rulers control nations, but how human beings can be led, influenced, and yes, manipulated. Today, explore the forbidden wisdom that the powerful prefer to keep hidden, the actual mechanics of control that remain unchanged for 500 years. Part 1. The truth about human nature. Machiavelli's genius lies not in inventing manipulation tactics, but in seeing humanity clearly, without illusion. While his contemporaries describe humans as they wish them to be, Machiavelli describes people as they actually are. Men are simple-minded and dominated by immediate needs, so a deceitful man always finds plenty ready to be deceived. This observation forms the foundation of Machiavellian thinking. People respond primarily to self-interest and immediate concerns, not abstract principles or distant consequences. Conventional wisdom tells that humans behave rationally and consistently, making decisions after careful thought. Machiavelli sees differently. He observes people driven mainly by two forces: fear and self-interest. Most human behavior, regardless of rationalization, stems from these twin motivators. This is not cynicism but realism. When social niceties and moral justifications disappear, human behavior becomes remarkably predictable. People consistently choose self-preservation over principle, immediate benefits over long-term advantages, strength over weakness. Consider how easily public opinion shifts when circumstances change, the same population demanding war after an attack protests for peace as casualties mount. The employee who praises management in public criticizes them in private. The friend promising undying loyalty disappears when supporting you becomes inconvenient. Machiavelli doesn't judge this inconsistency. He recognizes it as the terrain on which power operates. Understanding this terrain gives a map that others lack. His most profound insight shows morality as largely performative rather than substantive. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you truly are. This gap between appearance and reality creates the space where manipulation thrives. People judge others primarily by appearances and results, not intentions or methods. That is why the appearance of virtue often outweighs virtue itself. The leader maintaining a public image of honesty while privately cutting corners typically succeeds more than one honest but perceived as weak or indecisive. This truth extends beyond politics into everyday life. The colleague loudly announcing contributions gains more value than the quiet worker actually driving results. The romantic partner, making grand gestures, appears more loving than the one providing consistent, unshowy support. By understanding the gap between perception and reality, gain a crucial advantage: the ability to shape perceptions instead of merely reacting to them. This principle forms the foundation of Machiavellian control. Not manipulating people against their nature, but working with human nature as it exists. Part 2. Fear versus love, the mechanics of control. Machiavelli poses a question still resonating. Is it better to be loved than feared, or feared than loved? His answer is unequivocal. If one cannot be both, it is far safer to be feared than loved. This counterintuitive insight challenges conventional leadership views. We hear inspiring love and loyalty as highest leadership forms. Machiavelli recognizes that being loved offers advantages but is dangerously unstable. Love depends on obligation, and men tend to be ungrateful, fickle, deceptive, anxious to avoid danger, and covetous of gain. When self-interest conflicts with affection, self-interest almost always prevails. The subordinate claiming love for their leader often abandons them for better opportunities. The friend professing eternal loyalty disappears when loyalty becomes costly. Fear, by contrast, provides a more reliable foundation. Fear rests on dread of punishment that never fails. While love withdraws when inconvenient, fear remains constant. People may stop loving but rarely stop fearing negative consequences. This doesn't imply ruling through terror or cruelty. Machiavelli distinguishes fear from hatred. A prince should inspire fear so that if love is absent, hatred is avoided. Fear becomes counterproductive when it turns into hatred that motivates people to seek your downfall. The most effective fear is not fear of random violence, but fear of consistent consequences. A leader arbitrarily punishing creates hatred. One enforcing clear rules creates productive fear. This dynamic goes beyond formal leadership. In negotiations, the one credibly threatening to walk away holds power over the emotionally invested. In relationships, the partner less dependent often controls terms. In social groups, those granting or withholding approval influence those craving acceptance. The application is clear. To maintain control, establish yourself as someone impacting others' outcomes positively or negatively. Make others depend on you more than you depend on them. Create circumstances where aligning with your interests becomes others' path of least resistance. The modern workplace illustrates this principle perfectly. The boss, friendly with everyone, struggles to maintain discipline and performance. The one maintaining professional distance and clearly communicating expectations and consequences achieves better results. They are not loved, but respected, and respect, combined with measured fear, proves more reliable than affection. This does not mean abandoning empathy or kindness, but recognizing sustainable influence demands more than likability. It requires creating a situation where following your lead serves others' self-interest and where failure brings consequences they want to avoid. Part 3. Perception management, the appearance of virtue. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. This insight forms the cornerstone of Machiavellian perception management, the careful cultivation of public image, distinct from private reality. Machiavelli recognizes that people judge mainly by appearances. The substance of character matters far less than its perception. This creates powerful leverage for those seeking influence. Control the narrative, control perception, control power. The first principle of perception management is selective virtue. A prince should appear merciful, faithful, humane, religious, and upright, and indeed be so when possible, but train his mind to change when necessary. This is not hypocrisy, but strategic adaptation. No single virtue works in all situations. Mercy can embolden enemies. Honesty can reveal strategic weaknesses. Upholding every virtue constantly leads to defeat in a world where others lack that commitment. The solution is cultivating a reputation for virtue while keeping flexibility to act otherwise when needed. This duality, appearing consistently virtuous while selectively practicing virtue, creates maximum freedom of action with minimal reputation damage. The second principle is symbolic action. Machiavelli notes most people judge by outcomes, not processes. A few visible symbolic acts outweigh consistent behavior in shaping perception. The modern politician's publicized visit to a disaster zone gains more credit than quiet long-term aid. The manager publicly recognizing one employee appears more supportive than the one quietly helping many. Understanding this tendency allows strategic investment in high-visibility actions, shaping perception broadly rather than spreading effort thinly across all activities. The appearance of virtue, when deployed strategically, often yields greater returns than virtue practiced consistently, but poorly showcased. The third principle is information control. The prince creating a false impression and concealing true aims always finds those willing to be deceived. By controlling what others know, you shape what they believe. This doesn't require lying risky and exposing, but selective emphasis and strategic timing of truth, highlighting favorable information, minimizing unfavorable facts, releasing difficult news during distractions, packaging uncomfortable truths within appealing narratives. Modern public relations operates on these Machiavellian principles, carefully crafting perception through information management. The most effective manipulators do not fabricate reality but selectively present it to serve their purposes. The fourth principle is delegated representation. Princes assign unpopular duties to others while dispensing favors themselves. By personally associating with positives and distancing from negatives, you shape how people experience your influence. This explains why effective leaders personally deliver good news, but let subordinates communicate bad news. They link themselves directly to successes, but attribute failures to circumstances or others. This is strategic perception management, preserving their ability to lead effectively. For those disturbed by these tactics, remember, Machiavelli didn't invent them. He described what successful power holders have always done. Understanding these mechanics doesn't require employing them, but ignorance renders you vulnerable. Before continuing with more Machiavelli insights on maintaining control, those finding value in this exploration should subscribe to the channel. We regularly examine profound philosophical ideas most content creators avoid. Part 4. The Prince's Toolbox: Practical Tactics. Beyond broad principles, Machiavelli describes specific tactics for gaining and maintaining control, forming a practical toolbox for influence that remains effective 500 years later. The first tool is strategic generosity. Men forget a father's death sooner than loss of inheritance. Machiavelli understands material interests often outweigh emotional or moral motives. By providing benefits strategically, create gratitude and dependency. Strategic generosity should be visible, memorable, and clearly attributed to you personally. Anonymous or subtle generosity builds little influence. Benefits must align the recipient's interests with your own. This explains why effective leaders ensure their teams know who secures bonuses and promotions, why politicians emphasize benefits delivered to constituents, why savvy networkers do favors positioning themselves as ongoing resources. The second tool is calculated mercy. Men either should be caressed or eliminated because minor injuries provoke revenge, but severe ones do not. Half measures create worst outcomes. Either fully convert opponents through generous reconciliation or remove their ability to oppose you. This explains why effective leaders fully forgive and reintegrate employees or remove them completely rather than maintain them in diminished roles where resentment festers. Smart negotiators either reach comprehensive agreements or walk away cleanly, avoiding partial deals, leaving grievances alive. The third tool is manufactured crisis. Never waste a good crisis, reflects Machiavelli's insight. Disruption creates opportunities for consolidating power. During normal times, power structures resist change. During crises, people accept measures otherwise rejected. This doesn't mean creating artificial problems, but recognizing natural disruptions as opportunities. A leader prepared introduces desired changes amid turbulence when resistance weakens due to uncertainty and fear. The fourth tool is strategic alliance. The prince should be the only one from whom favors are expected. Positioning yourself as the gateway to benefits ensures others work through you, not around you. This creates leverage and information advantage. In organizations, structure approvals, resources, and opportunities to flow through you. In social contexts, become the connector, introducing people to opportunities, not the end point. The more you become the pathway to what others want, the more power you exert with minimal force. The fifth tool is predictive consistency. Nothing gains esteem like undertaking great enterprises and giving striking examples of ability. By establishing a pattern of successful predictions and actions, create an aura of competence, enhancing influence, regardless of individual decision quality. Effective leaders often make visible commitments and ensure achievement, even at cost. Demonstrated capability and reliability create an aura of inevitability that discourages opposition before it forms. These tools are not abstract theories but practical approaches seen across centuries, from boardrooms to politics to social hierarchies. Those intuitively or deliberately applying Machiavellian tactics consistently outmaneuver those ignoring them. Part 5. The Modern Machiavellian Subtle Control. Machiavelli wrote for princes ruling city-states, but his insights apply with surprising precision to modern contexts where direct coercion is rarely possible. Today's most effective manipulators adapt his principles to contemporary environments. In professional settings, modern Machiavellians rarely threaten or demand. Instead, they create environments where others voluntarily choose desired actions. They shape incentive structures rather than issue commands. They influence perception rather than controlling behavior directly. Consider everyday tactics. The strategic information broker shares selective knowledge, shaping decisions while appearing transparent. They do not lie but emphasize some truths and downplay others, timing revelations for maximum impact rather than immediate disclosure. The Machiavellian office worker does not openly undermine rivals but ensures their successes appear lucky or team-based, while failures receive attention. They do not spread rumors but ask innocent questions, planting doubts. The social manipulator creates situations making desired behavior the path of least resistance, leveraging social pressure over authority. Everyone else already agreed. The relationship controller avoids explicit threats but ensures the partner understands consequences of non-compliance through subtle dependency reminders. I'm glad I helped you with that career introduction. These modern applications share elements: indirect rather than direct pressure, plausible deniability, leverage over force, perception management over overt control. The iron fist now wears a velvet glove, but underlying mechanics remain recognizably Machiavellian. These approaches excel because they operate beneath conscious awareness. People resist obvious manipulation but stay vulnerable to subtler forms, triggering automatic responses instead of deliberate thought. The ultimate modern Machiavellian tactic may be meta-manipulation, creating the perception of free choice while constraining options and information to produce predictable decisions. By preserving the illusion of autonomy while directing outcomes, modern influencers achieve control without triggering resistance. This explains why leaders often present predetermined decisions as collaborative, marketers create false choices leading to purchase, and negotiators concede minor points to secure major agreements while appearing flexible. For those wary of manipulation, awareness offers the best defense. Understanding these mechanics doesn't make one immune, but allows recognition of manipulation attempts and conscious response choices. The practical question is not whether to engage Machiavellian tactics, but how to engage. Blind rejection leaves vulnerability. Uncritical acceptance risks moral compromise. The middle path, understanding these dynamics without control by them, offers the most sustainable way to navigate a world where Machiavellian principles operate, acknowledged or not. If these insights prove valuable, consider subscribing. The channel regularly explores philosophical ideas, offering practical wisdom for life's complexities. Final thoughts: the ethics of Machiavellian thinking. Machiavelli's insights provoke an uncomfortable question. Is understanding manipulation itself a form of corruption? Does seeing clearly how control works inevitably lead to using that knowledge selfishly? His answer proves more nuanced than many realize. A man wishing to make a profession of goodness amid many who are not good must necessarily suffer. The world contains those who use these principles regardless of moral qualms. Ignorance doesn't grant immunity but vulnerability. Perhaps Machiavelli's most mocking insight is that power itself is neutral. The mechanics of influence serve noble or corrupt purposes alike. The same principles enabling manipulation also enable leadership, protection, and positive change. The difference lies not in tools but in aims, influence directed toward collective benefit rather than personal gain, control exercised for protection rather than exploitation, perception management that inspires rather than deceives. Understanding what moves human fears, desires, perceptions, and behaviors isn't inherently corrupting. It means seeing clearly what has always been true. What matters is what you do with that vision. Machiavelli himself might suggest that the most powerful position is neither blind idealism nor cynical manipulation, but clear-eyed realism coupled with chosen virtue, because it always succeeds, but because it allows effective action in the world as it actually exists. Neither naive nor corrupted, but aware.